Well, last year it was Roger Utley and Gosforth for the second time in a row, the John Player Cup champions. A competition that was dominated very much by the northern clubs, an all-northern final, remember, last year. This year, though, the emphasis has moved down south a bit as Gloucester, the favourites, come to Twickenham to face Leicester from the Midlands. Well, it's a real cup tie atmosphere that's building up here before a record crowd at Twickenham on this occasion. And a very exciting curtain raiser too, to keep the crowd very much on their toes, with a under-16 seven-a-side triangular match, little tournament really, between England, Ireland and Scotland. And as you can hear, the crowd loving every moment of it. But of course, the main event of the day, the cup final between Gloucester and Leicester. So let's just have a quick look at how they got here. Well, Gloucester having a pretty good run all the way through, beating their local rivals Lydney, taking out the holders of the competition, Gosforth, in the second round, Wasps, and finally Harlequins in the semi-final, adding, incidentally, a total of 11 tries, which is no mean achievement. Leicester, well, their hardest game was perhaps their first one when they beat Hartlepool Rovers. They then went on to take Roslyn Park, Northampton and Coventry in quick succession. 7 tries to them, and in many senses a very evenly balanced game today.
And what a crowd it is, the largest number as far as anyone can recall ever to attend a club match in England. And of course so it should be on this special occasion. It looks about 20,000 or more, and that's well nigh double the record for a cup final. And of course West Country supporters, as always, seeming to swamp their rivals. They really are vociferous, passionate rugby followers from that part of England. And between them, the Gloucester men and the Leicester men, giving really for the very first time the kind of atmosphere we've wanted for the final of the English Club Championship. And it looks like rugby can even claim a convert from soccer. A West Ham supporter there, decked out in the Gloucester colours. Well, you can tell who the favourites are here today. This is Leicester coming out to the booze, led by their captain, Brian Hall, happily recovered from injury for this cup final. And wait for the roars now. Gloucester favourites to win today and favourites with the crowd, and remarkably unchanged throughout their cup run. 2 survivors from their victorious side that won the first ever club championship in '72, that's John Watkins, the skipper, and Mike Burton. 4 cap players in the sides, and their key strengths, I suppose, their front row of Sargent, Mills and Burton, as good as any in the country. John Fiddler, unsurpassed as a line-out expert. Paul Howell, a tactically superb scrum half, and there's Peter Butler with his boot. Leicester, this their first time beyond the quarter-finals. Something of a miracle that they should be at full strength today. 2 changes from the semi-final. Brian Hall, as I mentioned, their captain, returns at centre, and Ray Needham is back at prop, but question marks perhaps over their walking wounded, in particular Paul Dodge and Dusty Hare. But their ability, if they're going to counter Gloucester, is the way in which they can stretch the opposition, and with people like Paul Dodge and 2 great finishers in John Duggan and Bob Barker on the wings, they could pose problems for Gloucester even so. Referee Roger Quiddington of the London Society starts this 7th cup final. Gloucester, the cherry and whites, with the dark shorts. Leicester already on the defensive, about 5 metres outside their 22. And Leicester, as always, traditionally wearing letters. And it's young Steve Kenny, this 21-year-old scrum half of such great promise. And that's at first strike for Gloucester against the head. Out from Paul Howell. And I'm sure this game will start at a terrific pace. It's John Fiddler trying to work it back. Howell has it now. There's one of those typical cunning hoisted kicks. Dusty Hare calls for the mark and gets it. And I'm sure that's a tactic we're going to see from this youngster too during this match, playing to his pack and those teasing high kicks that sorted out the Harlequins in the semi-final. Safe, cool clearance, and I'm sure there's going to be a real individual battle between these 2 capped England fullbacks. Dusty Hare and Peter Butler, of course. So the first line out, and how will John Fiddler deal with Nick Joyce and Arthur Hazelrig? A superb line-out jumper wearing number 5. But Gloucester vary it and take it from Simonet, the peel round the tail. That's Fiddler now, in fact, driving in to try and work it back. It comes. Taken on by Gloucester just outside the Leicester 22. Howell using the blind side again, but is caught. Switches back to Burton. Burton has a go himself. The crowd love that. Now Watkins up to the 22. And all the possession so far taken by Gloucester. Gloucester's put in this time 1 strike against the head in the 1 scrummage we've had as yet. In midfield, perfect playing conditions. Slight breeze though. Chased by Clues. Hare side puts it into touch. Peter Wheeler with the throw. That's Mike Burton at the front. Kenny, Hare. And again, Dusty Hare keeping calm under real pressure. Well won by Nick Joyce. From Kenny to Hare. And Leicester just content to try and keep Gloucester at bay in these opening minutes. Steve Mills, many say the heir apparent to Peter Wheeler's hooking thrown. Down from Fiddler. Howell to Chris Williams. First time down the line from Brian Vine to Jardine. Butler was in the line, a crunching tackle coming in there from John Duggan on the right wing, and Butler really felt that. The referee has given a penalty. I don't think he's seen the injury yet, because Butler is still down on the turf. That really was a crunching tackle by John Duggan, the Leicester right winger. The ball came down the 3/4 line, a conventional move with the fullback coming in outside Richard Jardine, and Duggan went as a winger should for the first man, and really he did take Butler hard. And you can see there the effect of that tackle, because it's John Duggan, the injured player, who in the end came off worse, and clearly with a nasty cut on his head, which necessitates him leaving the field, and Leicester will sorely miss him if he has to stay off. Paul Dodge takes the left-footed punt to touch, and Leicester, for just about the first time since the start of the match, inside Gloucester's half. Bully at the tail, but down from the middleman, that was John Fiddler again. But Leicester regaining possession. Dodge. Butler waits, takes a chance, but puts it out on the full. Leicester win the ball, but the bounce comes back to Fiddler. Now Burton, round the front go Gloucester. Howell, there's that high kick again, Hare underneath it. Trying to fool the opposition, which he does. Tackled after he'd kicked, it would seem. Referee allows play to go on though. And Leicester do well to regain it. Bit of untidy, close passing though. But they get a penalty this time, with Gloucester coming into that ruck from an offside position. and that surely is within kickable range for Dusty Hare. So the first kick at goal in this match from Dusty Hare, who has already struck 42 points for Leicester in this cup run. That's more than half the points that Leicester have scored altogether. So Dusty Hare then, after 13 minutes, will it carry? Just drifted to the left. Butler putting it safely out on the Gloucester 22. So there's Steve Johnson, who's moved out to replace John Duggan, who's still off the field, out on the right wing. Cleaned up by David Forfar. Kenny in a spot of bother there. As Gloucester tie him in. Drive over. Arms and legs there, and the referee was right on the spot to give Leicester a consequent penalty for that use of the climbing in technique. So a second chance it is for Dusty Hare at goal. The referee in no doubt at all that that was unnecessary and unlawful use of the boot. So Hare runs back to the halfway line for the second attempt at goal. Dusty Hare struck that very well. But again, it's left of the uprights, and that really is a painful miss in quick succession for Leicester, with 2 kicks at goal going begging. We played a quarter of an hour and there's still no score. Hare regains the long dropout. Great tackle by Jardine. Tremendous commitment at close quarters, and Leicester have won the loose ball. Bledin-Jones, Paul Dodge now. That was deliberate, I would have thought, by Bob Clues. The referee gives it just as a knock-on. It looked like a last-ditch effort by the right winger to try and intercept the Leicester move, but it's always a difficult decision, and the referee's a lot closer than me. As happily and swathed in bandages, John Duggan back on the field, looking pretty chirpy, but I'm sure that he's feeling a bit that knock on the head. I'm sure that already Gloucester will be a little disappointed not to have got any points on the board after this first 16.5 minutes of virtually complete Gloucester pressure, barring those 2 penalty attempts by Dusty Hare that Leicester have missed. That was a front row infringement. May have been an early strike, giving the free kick. Hare for touch. Slice it. Butler in his own 22. And he's missed as well. Bob Barker inside Steve Redfern. Dusty Hare. Duggan wide outside there. Duggan now cuts inside Richard Mogg, is held. Now Dodge. Not bad improvisation that, and I think they're the signs that one might expect to see of Leicester just trying to stretch Gloucester at every possible opportunity, and even using bad ball to quite good effect. Midway through this first half, no score to either side. Fiddler wins it, Howell hoists it, but this time not carrying it far enough forward. Leicester with plenty of time to regroup, but in fact there may have been a bit of obstruction there to give away a penalty, and I think the cheers there may greet a possible attempt by Peter Butler to kick for goal with what wind there is behind him. And that's what he's going to do, and there's the distance. certainly taking his time. It's a pity to hear boos at Twickenham. Butler then with Gloucester's first chance of points. That's a huge kick. It's not going to be quite long enough. So no kicks as yet successful between two fine goal-kicking fullbacks, Butler and Hare. Hare with the drop out the wind, curling it back. So it's playable, and Nick Joyce has it, but it's taken over the top. Leicester trying to dig it out, but not in time to beat the referee's whistle. And the Tigers get the scrummage. That's their 22-metre line, so they're under pressure again. Shot out. Kenny, Hare, good pick up and clearance. Really was under pressure then and had to hurry it. Steve Mills' throw for Gloucester. The scrappy line out, cleaned up by Gordon Sargent. Back to Howell, now Williams. Misses out Vine, straight to Jardine. That was a wild pass over the head of Mogg. So from one side of the field, the line out to the three-quarter move, and another line out exactly parallel to where the first one took place. And that's about 10 metres from the Leicester 22. David Forfar, Viv Woolley, the two tail men at the line. Deflected by Gary Adey. Kenny caught. Driven on by Hazelrig. Set back to Kenny once more. Glenn Jones turns. Doesn't find touch. Richard Mogg, this long-striding young winger, loses possession, and it comes to Leicester. Now from Dodge to Hall, out to Barker. The referee calls them back for a slight knock forward by Leicester. Their first real chance then, perhaps, for a long run for Bob Barker on the left wing. But that's where they come back to, the scrummage on their 10-metre line. Simonet channeling it to the right for Howell. Little chip meant for the corner. Bounce favours Hare. Wasn't straight. Again, the ball shooting out. Clearance work by Johnson, taking the pressure off his young scrum half. And Gloucester have somehow managed to work it back as Howell goes in to get it. John Watkins glances up at the referee, who has blown his whistle and in fact given Gloucester the put-in instead. This is Howell then, one of the stars of Gloucester's semi-final win. Good service to Williams. Brian Vine misses out Jardine. Butler in the line. Again, the tackling was good, this time from Dodge. Gloucester trying to set it up once more. Back from Fiddler. Howell, Williams. Bounce beats everyone except Dodge in the end. Dodge feeds Barker. And finally it was Chris Williams that got in the way. And the ball bouncing off him gives a put-in to Leicester just inside their own half. It's Chris Williams, you may recall, once capped for England against France in 1976. Leicester win the heel. On from Jones and down the line with Hare coming in. Man and ball together, two men in fact, and the tackle eventually from Brian Vine brings him down on the Leicester 10-metre line. The players pile over each other. Gloucester perhaps didn't release it in time to give away a penalty. Full dodge, aiming for touch but not finding it. Drive on there was by Steve Boyle, the burly second row. Up to the halfway, a Leicester boot gets in the way, but Howell returns it. Difficult bounce for John Duggan. He really had to go for the half volley then, but the ball shot up and beat him into touch. John Duggan, a great finisher off of tries, but he hasn't had a chance yet. Inside Leicester's half. Wildly over Blethin Jones. Duggan tries to retrieve it, is hustled backwards. Jones again trying to stem the Gloucester support. Now Sargent the prop for Gloucester. 20 metres out. Now Burton, his fellow prop, on the tight head. The switch came through Simonet. Chris Williams. Steve Boyle. Richard Mogg going for the line and the corner and the try. So the pressure told in the end, and it really was unlucky for Leicester because it stemmed initially from a loose pass by scrum half Kenny over Blethin Jones, and Gloucester immediately capitalised on the error, set it up, and with the close passing support on the narrow side, the strong run by Steve Boyle and the try in the corner puts Gloucester ahead with the first points of the match after 36 minutes. 4 points to nil. So Peter Butler from the touchline with the conversion attempt. Puts a superb kick. And that's exactly what it is. Butler then adding the points, and Gloucester 6 points clear with about 3 minutes of proper time to half-time. So Leicester trying to fight their way back, but the restart kick dropping short. And Gloucester will be happy to scrummage all day. Howell to Williams. Dusty Hare on his own 22. Runs back into it, pivots and puts it away. So signs of battle on Dusty Hare's face. Been a few injuries in this match already. But still the game being dominated by the Gloucester forward effort. A good 60–70% of the possession coming to the Cherry and Whites. Down from Fiddler, Howell to Williams. The run round with Vine goes to Clues. Dusty Hare covers the kick. Keeps it in play. That was well done. Back goes Butler to his own 22. Hare comes chasing through. And Butler turns around to put it away, but that was neat work by Dusty Hare. Saw the opportunity of making a bit more ground than just the little chip into touch by chipping it over the head of the advancing Gloucester man and booting it on to cause Butler to race back. Well, that may be a Tiger, I'm not quite sure. But the Tigers, I'm sure supporters are a little distraught at the moment, 6 points adrift, but at least they have the win to come in the second half. We're now 4 minutes into injury time. And Gloucester looking happy to play out half-time, which they do. The whistle goes then, with Gloucester leading by that one try and conversion to nil. A try they've certainly deserved, and a good round of applause from this tremendous crowd who've enjoyed cup rugby of great commitment and great pressure coming from Gloucester. Now, can they continue this pressure in the second half and go on to victory for the second time in the cup final? Brian Hall looking a bit anxious as well, he might. 6 points Leicester trail as they start this second half through Bleddyn Jones. And the ball runs dead. Gloucester having to face the slight swirling breeze here at Twickenham in this second half. Peter Butler's dropout. Mike Burton kicks on, out there by Sargent. Good harrying by Gloucester. Of course, they're quite often used to doing that in the mud in Kingsholm, but here the conditions really excellent at the end of the season. Leicester pressurised by the Gloucester wheel, but Gloucester break off and are caught offside. So that surely is a chance now for Leicester to pull back 3 points through Dusty Hare. There's the distance for the kick. As I mentioned, what wind there is in Leicester's favour in this half, and this is really just head on to the post. Penalties in this cup run of Leicester's already. Will this be the 12th? No, it's not. He's missed it. 3 he's missed, and points that Leicester desperately needed at that moment. That was his simplest chance. Well, it just can happen on Cup Day. Hazelrig, Nick Joyce, Paul Dodge, trying to get out of the tackle there of Jardine. He does initially, but is caught by 2 more Gloucester shirts. Back it comes to Howell. Well, that was unlucky for the referee. Sometimes you just cannot anticipate how quickly the ball's going to come out. In fact, though, to the surprise of us all, it's a Leicester put in, so he must have seen something at close quarters. Gloucester supporters like me, I think, thought it was just a bit of bad luck. Leicester having trouble winning their own ball cleanly, as you see. Bleddyn Jones to Hall. Switches with Barker. It's Bleddyn Jones. Steve Kenny now. Hall hoisting one for the rest of the backs. Moggs underneath it as Duggan comes in, works the ball down. Dodge falls on it. And that's a penalty for sure to Leicester. And I think that Gloucester were guilty of not releasing the ball. Certainly something that Steve Boyle did at the bottom of that pile is what has caused referee Quinton to give Dusty Hare another chance, an almost identical kick this to the last one that he missed, head on to the post, about 30 metres out. Leicester need this desperately. I don't like the boos, but Leicester will like the points. So that will certainly bring great relief to him and the Leicester camp. You see there the supporters swamped by the Gloucester numbers in the stand, but they're evident now as Gloucester find they have their lead cut to just 3 points. Calmed down by Hazelrig, Kenny, Hare. Richard Mogg waits, took it well on the halfway line. 2 side steps, still in possession, held by Peter Wheeler. Grounded just inside the Leicester half. Howell wrestling for it, gets it. And off the ball there, a bit of aggressive play on the ground by Gloucester. It may well have been Steve Mills who... In fact, no, I think it was Gordon Sargent that they've singled out, or maybe Viv Woolley, the flanker. I thought initially it was a number 1 for Sargent, but it was a number 7. That would be Viv Woolley. So whatever he did, the referee didn't like. And Dusty Hare has this chance for 3 points that could level the score. A long kick this from his own half for Dusty Hare. It won't carry. Howell. Good clearance. Steve Mills walks across to Paul Howell to get the signal. Steve Mills, great hooker he is. Deflected for Leicester by Nick Joyce. Joyce again. Kenny, Blethen-Jones, Paul Dodge. Angled for touch. Leicester win possession now. Blethen-Jones, Brian Hall, Paul Dodge. Misses out Dusty Hare, straight to John Duggan. Duggan runs inside Mogg. Is eventually caught by Vine. The pickup was by Johnson, as was the knock-on. In the ball from Paul Howell, 5 metres from his own 22. Back from Viv Woolley. Howell aiming for touch, but the referee has called them back. An offence by David Forfar, which was a bit of foul play. It wasn't seen by the crowd nor me, but the referee certainly had a word with David Forfar for something he did after that kick by Howell. Peter Butler placing the ball for the kick to touch. 5 metres in. And taking it up to halfway, that's Kenny, takes it from Nick Joyce. But again, you see Gloucester winning that valuable loose ball. Howell finding Hare. Butler covered well. That's still in play. Steve Johnson onto the halfway line. Blethen-Jones, Brian Hall, now Dodge, the loop move. There's plenty of space there because Butler's had to cover right across. The bounce comes inwards, he makes a mistake. Duggan kicks on. Back goes Chris Williams, 5 metres out. Duggan comes in with the tackle. Mogg's out there on the left wing and he had no choice but to do that. Leicester it was, putting on the pressure this time. Peter Wheeler anxious to get that ball in quickly to the line-out. 14 times cap for England, and his experience and coolness will be vital now to Leicester's effort. Taken at the front by Joyce. Smuggled through Gary Adey, but still not out. It is now. Steve Kenny goes for the pickup. He did well there with the boot of Chris Williams coming through. And Gloucester, though, managed to force it to touch. Two of the brightest young scrum halves to come through English club rugby this season on the field today. This is Steve Kenny, and a lovely individual battle with Paul Howell, his opposite number there at the base of that line-out for Gloucester. And the honours about even, I think, as Mills throws to Fiddler. Beautifully down to Howell. Williams has a go himself, which he probably wishes he hadn't done. But then you see he can bank on that follow-up by the Gloucester pack. Howell again puts a teasing kick down, and Duggan puts it out inside his own 22. .20 minutes of proper time to go. Still the outcome as uncertain really as it was at the beginning, with only 3 points between the sides, and Gloucester just in front but attacking now. Fiddler to Howell. There's the set-piece move down to Watkins that we saw in the semi-final. Steve Mills takes it on. I think Leicester had expected that one. Burton now to Howell. Williams still. Watkins drives. 3 metres out and in touch. This Gloucester pack at times like a relentless machine, grinding its way forward as they now camp themselves close to the Leicester goal line. Hazelrig at 2 for Leicester, but it goes to Joyce at 4. Kenny, well worked back from the line. That's not finding touch, it finds Mogg. Mogg loves to come off his left foot. From Boyle now to Howell. Dusty Hare takes a chance, it comes accidentally off Peter Wheeler's knee. Peter Wheeler no chance of getting out of the way of that, but the referee of course deciding entirely unintentional. So the line out to Gloucester. There's Gordon Sargent, number 1 there, with Steve Boyle behind. Fiddler deflects, as does Boyle. Howell to Williams, misses out Jardine. The loop move there with Jardine coming on the wide outside. On Leicester's 10-metre line. Back from Fiddler, Howell puts it high but too long. Jones, Ryan Hall switches it inside to Paul Dodge. Well back from David Forfar. Mogg goes down, Duggan comes through, Butler almost regathers, the referee smiles, Butler appeals. It was, I think, a fair tackle attempt by Duggan. The knock-on, in fact, going against Butler, so Leicester get the put in. An interesting ploy this by Leicester. They've put 2 men on the right-hand side of the scrummage to try and add power on that side. So a penalty it is to Leicester, and a chance for Dusty Hare to put them level. So this is an important kick for Leicester. It would level the scores if Hare can get it. And the boos and even things being thrown at Hare are really shocking to behold. He's missed it. With the restart. 9 minutes to go. And that beat everybody to touch. That's the halfway line. Down from Joyce. Kenny, Levin Jones. The loop move by Paul Dodge, in fact the dummy, because it went straight to Dusty Hare. Knocked on by Butler. Well, this biggest crowd ever to witness a club match in England, certainly being kept at tension point throughout this game, as we come to the last 7 minutes of proper time, and still the game in the balance. Gloucester clinging on to that 3-point lead. Steve Boyle deflects. Howell, Williams, Jardine. The ball was coming back on the Gloucester side. The referee had already blown. Leicester get the foot in. Across, keeps it well in. And they're straight up in the air. Leicester pack underneath it, don't catch it cleanly. Eventually it does come back to Kenny. Sargent misses the tackle. Duggan feeds inside. Dodge did well to flip that on. From Brian Hall to Dusty Hare. Hare trying to run through the Gloucester defence. Finally is nailed on the Leicester 10-metre line. Four minutes of proper time remaining. Howell getting, as ever, a tremendous service from his pack, and that kick puts Gloucester in striking distance once more. It's as close as that, just about 6 or 7 metres from the Leicester line. Boyle down from the front of the line. Back from Fiddler. Howell has a go himself. Is swept up by the Leicester flankers. But the ball, as always, seems to come back on that red and white side. Bit of improvisation in the passing from Blethin Jones. Back inside to Viv Woolley. Brian Vine now. Possible chance here. Clues for the corner. In touch. Well, against the Quins in that very same corner, he got in for a try in much the same fashion, the switch of direction, but he didn't this time. Leicester throw long and try and attack from their own goal line. John Duggan now, with support behind him, and there's lots of space down there. Butler races back. Duggan and Dodge chase. Butler plays safe back to his own 22, and at least makes it safe. But Leicester doing there what I suppose one can only say they should have been doing all game. Trying to run every bit of ball they get at Gloucester, instead of which they've got rather bogged down in this forward battle and not shown the enterprise one had expected. Less than 2 minutes of proper time to go. Down from Forfar, but with the use of someone else's shoulder, I think. It was actually, yes, it was Forfar, but it was a penalty that he gave away. Well, the Leicester supporters not happy about the time-wasting tactic of Peter Butler, but it is a regular ploy by him. So on Leicester's 10-metre line, Wheeler's throw. Deflected. Kenny goes for the pickup but doesn't get it. Burton does. Now Sargent. There's a bit of space there. He aims for it, is brought down. Dusty Hare picks up. John Duggan. Peter Wheeler behind him. Back inside to Dusty Hare. A bit of collision there as AD came up in support. And Leicester desperate now for possession. They have it though. Kenny. Johnson. Dodge. Good pass. Brian Hall still. A chance now for Barker. Barker with Mogg covering. That was superbly done by the Gloucester left wing to tackle Barker on the right. One might almost be tempted to say a match-saving tackle because there was no one between Barker and Richard Mogg. Leicester with a touch of adventure again, setting it across field, and that superb improvised pass by Paul Dodge, setting up the possible overlap there for Bob Bob. We're into injury time now. 6-3, Gloucester ahead, bidding for their second club championship win and their first ever John Player Cup. Leicester have the put in. It could be their last chance. Nearly 2 minutes of injury time now. The final heave from Gloucester caused chaos in the Leicester heel, but Bleddyn-Jones regathers it. Brian Hall, caught, Burton, who else? Which is the final kick of the match, and Gloucester are the champions. Well, it could hardly have been closer. It was well fought throughout. Leicester put up a tremendous battle, but Gloucester in the end, with that daunting forward power, now receive the acclamation of their hordes and thousands of supporters who've come up from the West Country. Gloucester then worthy winners. They scored the only try. They win 6 points to 3. And now West Country Rugby can enjoy its victory. And now the moment that Gloucester supporters and players have been waiting for. John Watkins fighting his way through the thousands of Gloucester fanatical supporters for this cherished moment. John Watkins there, trying to fight his way through, just passing Leicester and offering some condolence on the way as he fights his way through for the moment that he and the whole West Country have been waiting for. John Watkins to receive the trophy, and he in turn paying tribute to his team and supporters as Sir Anthony Wharton, the president of the Rugby Football Union, presents the John Player Cup to John Watkins and Gloucester. Peter Butler in turn, jubilation all round. Steve Boyle no less happy. Mike Burton, one of the key figures in Gloucester's success. Steve Boyle again with that Leicester jersey swathed round his neck. Gloucester then the club champions for the second time in their history. They won it for the first time in 1972. And now this year, putting the reigning holders Gosforth out on the way. They win it for the second time by beating a very valiant Leicester side 6 points to 3.
So the John Player Cup in the safe hands of Gloucester, and in particular Steve Boyle at the moment. But John Watkins, I suppose you're about the happiest man in the West Country tonight.
Yeah, I just think so. Yeah. Apart from about 15,000 Gloucester supporters.
Yeah, tremendous support you got up from the West Country. I mean, how important is that in Gloucester's success this season?
Well, it's certainly a start. You know, I think somebody said there was about 24,000 here today, which is a, you know, I mean, it's a good thing for rugby.
It must have been a contrast with the first cup win. Well, it wasn't a cup then, of course. The first championship win in 1972.
Yeah, I think it was played down a little bit now. Then, you know, I think now it's come out in the open. I think it's good. You know, it's a good competition, well run. I'd like to see even more, you know, of a spectacle made of it. You know, a big occasion like in the Welsh Cup final.
Yes, I think today, you know, I think talking to people after the game, the lasting impression will be of the atmosphere, of the real sort of cup tie fever that seemed to grip the two supporters groups today of Leicester and Gloucester. Steve, for you, it seemed that the match in fact hinged on the forward battle as one had expected, but it was perhaps harder than you might have anticipated.
A lot harder, yes. They surprised us an awful lot, I think, especially in the line-outs. They got a lot more ball than perhaps we had hoped they would get. I'll be very honest, I was surprised at how much ball they got, but all credit to Leicester, they played very, very well.
What about the last quarter of an hour or so? You know, they seemed to be still on a knife edge with some time to play.
I was crawling around on my hands and knees, asking the referee just to finish the game. I just wanted to get it over with and get back. Yeah.
Well, the last kick of the game went to this familiar gentleman, Mike Burton. As a cup tie, how did you see it?
Well, we play that waiting game, like, you know. Gilly was a Queen's jockey before he played rugby, and we used to wait at the top of the hill at Cheltenham and come down the hill, look, make his run last one, sneak away by 10 lengths, but it was a half a length win today, and as the boys have said, all fair dues to Leicester. They played a great game, and I think it was good for rugby because it was a good crowd, and no one broke away and scored a lot of points, and it just shows that English clubs can play pressure rugby. It might be good for the international scene later on. I think I might be a bit too old for all that this time.
Well, you've been on the scene a long time, Mike. Is this the best Gloucester side you've been associated with?
There's been major strides forward since we've had a coach, really. And I was going to say coaching, but we've only had one coach, Nichols, and he's made a great contribution. He's not here now. He don't stand on the photographs. He's a backroom boy, and we all appreciate his contribution. Has made a great difference to us. And I think. You know, we've got a lot of combination teams in Gloucester that send players forward, and we've got a big pool to pick from, so we should have good players. All we want really was getting together.
Right, well, it wasn't just a forward victory, of course. A couple of the backs are here as well. Richard, for you, after, again, as long an experience as Mike, a great day for you.
Oh, tremendous, yeah. I missed out in 71, 72. I had to be up there watching, and that was tense. I think it was more tense for them watching today than us out on the pitch. You know, I'd much rather play out there today than watch.
Well, great.
Tremendous.
Yeah, tremendous. Well, and I thought perhaps one of the outstanding players you've had in your cup run this season is your young scrum half. He looks a bit of a pint size next to you, Steve, but but for you it must be almost like a dream the way you've come through in 1 year's rugby to this kind of level and that kind of performance.
It's been just over a year, but the thing is, like, you know, as a lot of people are on to you, they're talking to you about these things, but the only thing that's improved my rugby is the lads around me, and they've made me, and I'm just glad that I'm part of the setup. That's all I'm worried about, being part of that setup and helping the lads get through who's helped me and bring me this far. It's just a great club, and I'm glad that I'm part of it. That's all there is to it.
Well, congratulations anyway. Well done yourself, Paul. And there isn't really time to talk to everyone, but perhaps I'll leave the last couple of sentiments to come from Viv Woolley here, the unsung flanker they call him, and Mike Burton, because I have with me here, I've just been presented with a tie that says on it, John Player Cup winners Gloucester RFC, in memoriam, in deepest sympathy for Leicester RFC, who played as well as they were able in losing the final. Where did that come from then? Bit of confidence.
Oh, a very good friend of mine, and Mickey asked him to get a few of them done because we were that confident.
The truth, listen, there's no disrespect to Leicester, it's just a joke round Gloucester. I think we've got to make that clear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, tremendous. Congratulations to a lot of you, and I'm sure we'll be looking forward to seeing you very much in evidence in next year's Cup run as well. That just about rounds off our rugby special for this week on a day that belongs to Gloucester and the West Country. And next week on Rugby Special we'll be looking at two of the sides who had very good runs in the Cup this year but didn't make the final, Bristol and Coventry, and they play each other at the Memorial Ground Bristol next week, and that's our match on Rugby Special. And by the way, in case you're wondering who won that rather exciting international under-16 7-a-side tournament that preceded the Cup final today, well, it went convincingly to England, who beat Scotland in the final. So perhaps in a few years' time we'll be seeing some of those youngsters in the major Cup final on this day. I hope so anyway, and to you all, I bid you good night.